governor knew I was going to say that. We say it all the time. But the reason we're the best is because of our community. Because when this community college prepares people for the workforce, prepares them for their next institution, if the community college is doing it, that means it lifts the community. And so we're proud to be here over 100 years as this community's college. And we're proud to have all of you here today. And we're proud to have Governor Whitmer here. It makes sense for us to do it in this setting because of the topic of looking at what our immediate future looks like in terms of ARP and other things, and it's an honor to not only host it on our campus, but it's an honor to host it in this space because of the work that happens in this room. You have our welding labs, you have some of our machining work that happens here, you see some of our students, some of our faculty, and others here, because this work is vital to our community, it's vital to West Michigan. And so we're grateful to have Governor Whitmer here today, grateful to have Director Corbin, and we're honored to have each of you here today. Let me introduce to you the leader, the president CEO of The Right Place, our economic development organization, of which I'm honored to be a board member for, and honored that several months ago we were able to bring Randy Thalen back to West Michigan to head up The Right Place and to do it in a way that will be very beneficial to our community. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Thalen.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. What an exciting day to be here, and what an exciting opportunity we have in front of us. Dr. Pink, thank you for hosting us here, and Governor Whitmer, thank you so much for being here in West Michigan to share your economic development strategy and our plans for the American Rescue Plan. The funding is extraordinary opportunity for us here across the state and certainly here in West Michigan. At The Right Place, we've reframed our strategy around people, place, and prosperity. We believe fundamentally that if we can develop our people and we can attract new people to the market, we can have a dynamic economy. If we build a great place and continue to build out our communities to be magnetic, to help us retain and attract talent, we can have a dynamic economy. And finally, if we put those pieces together, we can be an incredibly prosperous community for all. That's the puzzle that we're putting together at The Right Place. We've got a 30-year track record of success, and we have every confidence we can continue to build on that. Today, with the advancement of the American Rescue Plan and really unprecedented economic stimulus available through the federal government, we have an opportunity to make a quantum leap forward. We have roughly $6 billion available through the state. We have another $600 million available through our local units of government. So this truly is maybe not just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it's maybe once-in-two-lifetime opportunity. When we look back through history, the New Deal and the Works Progress Administration offers us some indication of the potential of what's ahead of us. Across Grand Rapids, we built the Public Museum back about 60 years ago, and used it for 60 years, and still provides a benefit to our community today. Across Greater West Michigan, the Works Progress Administration built Ludington State Park, one of the great gems, an incredible contributor to our quality of life across Michigan that we've enjoyed for nearly 100 years, and I suspect we all will plan to enjoy it for another 100 years. It's these types of transformational opportunities that are represented by the American Rescue Plan, and our ability to come together here in West Michigan and take advantage of those opportunities is really what we're all about. We want to see this as an opportunity to make a big, bold leap forward. And we're fortunate as we come through this recession, Michigan is outperforming the country. Michigan has a lower unemployment rate, we've got higher labor force participation rates, and as we do our work at The Right Place, we are engaged with companies each and every day looking to grow and expand in our market. We have an opportunity to come out of this economic recession in a far better position than we have historically when we face those types of economic downturns. So this is an incredible inflection point for our community. It's been great to work with our members of the Right Place Board who are here with us today to think about how we can maximize this moment, maximize this opportunity to really set our community forward and be positioned for economic success for the years to come. With that, I'd like to introduce Susan Corbin, who was the interim and now is the full director for the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, or LEO. She's a great partner of ours. We work carefully with her on labor and talent initiatives, and I would welcome her to the podium.
Thank you, Randy. And I think Randy helped us visualize this, but truly the passage of the American Rescue Plan is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to bring generational and transformational change to our state. It will address long-standing structural challenges that were exacerbated by the pandemic while creating more shared prosperity and closing equity gaps. Today's ARP announcement will build on Governor Whitmer's economic policies that are already helping businesses and working people recover from the pandemic. Our unemployment rate has decreased for 7 straight months. Our economy is the fastest growing in the Midwest, and we went from a projected $3 billion deficit to a $3.5 billion surplus. And Michigan's economic jumpstart plan that the governor unveiled earlier this summer makes lasting investments in our families, communities, and small businesses. We will create good-paying jobs and make progress on the kitchen table economic issues. The Jumpstart Plan gives businesses incentive to boost wages and attract talent and expand access to no-cost or low-cost childcare for 150,000 more families. Today's proposal, coupled with the Jumpstart Plan, will help Michigan's families, communities, and small businesses thrive. The governor today is proposing $800 million in investments in our communities to make sure every Michigan community is prepared to take advantage of the post-COVID economic recovery. She's already announced investments in additional affordable and attainable housing, which are critical for our working families. For some households, housing is the top cost, while for others, the near top cost along childcare and transportation. Housing shortages are happening nationally, but Michigan's facing an even larger gap between the amount of people who want a new house or an apartment versus what actually exists and is available today. And we're building on that announcement with additional investments that will help Michigan communities, such as placemaking grants and funds to redevelop brownfields. These investments will return blighted buildings and land into renewed areas for families and small businesses. These are also a sizable investment in regional planning capacity to make sure communities around the state have the resources they need to plan their own recoveries and provide a path for them to elevate projects and programs that the state can partner with them through matching funds. The process of developing this process has already included extensive stakeholder outreach with groups like The Right Place and others here today who we've worked to incorporate their feedback. We hope to have your continued partnership in the weeks and months ahead as we improve and refine on these proposals and move them through the legislature. I'm honored to serve under Governor Whitmer, and I look forward to working with all of you to help fulfill our department's mission, expanding economic opportunity and prosperity for all. So, with all of that, I would like to introduce Governor Whitmer.
All right, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Dr. Pink. Thank you, Randy. I'm so glad to be here with all of you on the west side. It's good to be back. Yes, clap for yourselves. That's an easy one, right? I am really pleased to be here and to be joined by so many people that helped inform the economic agenda that we are laying out. You know, this really is an unprecedented opportunity for us to make transformative change in Michigan. None of us would have chosen to go through the last 18 months if we didn't have to, but we didn't have a choice. And we managed the best we could. We worked together to get through it. We have more work ahead of us, but in this moment, we have a real opportunity to utilize these resources that have come to Michigan, to utilize the resources that we've earned through good management, turning that $3 billion projected deficit into a surplus. This is a moment that we cannot let us slip by, and that's why we worked closely with organizations like The Right Place, like the Business Leaders of Michigan, like local chambers of commerce, like the Small Business Association of Michigan, the manufacturers who helped us inform and draft this plan, unions, the AFL-CIO, local, regional economic development organizations. People like Mayor Bliss and your incredible Mark Washington, who is managing the day-to-day operations as we are thinking about how do we tackle increasing crime? How do we ensure people have skills? How do we help small businesses? And how do we make place? So people, place, and prosperity. And that's what this really is all about. So today we want to focus on the next step of the economic jumpstart. From day one, we've been focused on putting Michiganders first. And I will always be committed and eager to work with anyone who wants to solve a problem in a way that really creates opportunity. All of these components, whether it is addressing skills or enhancing education, supporting small business, investing in childcare, and even fixing the damn roads, these are all instrumental components to our economic growth. 2020, of course, threw us all for a loop, but we've tackled and will continue to tackle this pandemic head on, but we are going to chew gum and walk at the same time, and that's precisely what we've been doing and why we are seeing our numbers improving every single day. Now, I took decisive action at the beginning of the pandemic. We set up 23 economic relief programs that delivered over $240 million to small businesses across Michigan in all of our 83 counties. These programs supported over 25,000 companies and retained over 200,000 jobs, with nearly 75% of that support going to restaurants and bars and retailers and other service industry small businesses. I also issued a number of safety grants to more than 1,500 firms to create safer workplaces. We helped 300 small businesses expand their capacity by adding weatherized and temporary outdoor facilities. We set up the Ambassador Program, offering free consultation that helped 5,400 employers create safer workplaces for their employees. And thanks to our efforts, we're making progress. The economic jumpstart is underway. As Director Corbin mentioned, we've got the fastest growing economy in the Midwest. Over the first 4 months of this year in particular, those are the numbers that have been in, and it shows Michigan is doing better than our neighboring states. Lower unemployment rate than the national average, $3.5 billion surplus after projected $3 billion deficit, and our bond rate, or our credit rating was even boosted in the middle of all of this that we've been negotiating. And that means we can fix more roads when we move forward with our Rebuilding Michigan bond. I'm grateful for the leadership of people like Winnie Brinks, who our senator who's here, and Rachel Hood, state representative. But we've got more work to do. Now, our manufacturing sector continues to soar, and that is something that inures to all of our benefit. We have the strongest automotive manufacturing sector nationwide. We always have, and we always will. We are committed to that. We're top 3 for sustainable development in a leading industry publication, and Michigan won the prestigious Golden Shovel Award, which recognizes the strength of this manufacturing sector, which is true outside of automotive manufacturing as well. 71 out of the top 100 automotive suppliers in North America are headquartered in Michigan, and the big 3 are building their EVs, their vehicles of new mobility and future mobility right here in Michigan too. So there's a lot of good stuff happening. Here in Grand Rapids, we have a couple of great business expansions that we look forward to announcing this week. One in aerospace electronics, that will be 269 good paying jobs, and a compressors and pump manufacturer who's expanding here in Grand Rapids, creating more than 50 additional jobs. So we got a lot going for us. But we know these rosy numbers don't completely reflect the whole picture of what the work is ahead of us. Families, communities, and small businesses across Michigan know that we've got some other long-term challenges we're going to confront. There are too many jobs that just don't pay enough to survive and raise a family here. Over 1 million households in Michigan are working poverty, right? Which means people who are working full-time and cannot meet their average regular needs. There just aren't enough workers to fill the open jobs. I know I was talking with Tina Friesdecker earlier, but it's not unique to healthcare, and it's not unique to one part of the state or even one state in the country. And there aren't enough Michiganders with the necessary skills to fill the high-wage jobs that are currently available, which means when we have positions unfilled, it's keeping businesses from being able to make additional investments. So we've got our work cut out for us, but we are up to this challenge. So today I'm proposing a $2.1 billion investment in our workers, in our middle class. So that's the people side, small businesses and job creation, that's the prosperity side, and our communities to address those challenges. That's place. I like the way you say it better. We got too many words, people, place, and prosperity. The task before us is clear. We got to confront all three of these for us to have the real kind of robust economic growth that inures to everyone's benefit. When we grow the middle class and educate more workers, I propose we put $722 million in investing in that front. Second, supporting small business and creating better jobs with a $651 million investment. And third, investing in our communities with an $800 million investment. So I want to give you a little more detail on each of those fronts, and then we'll open it up. But we will be unveiling many pieces to each of these important pieces. So as we think about growing our middle class and supporting our workers, we have to be relentless about pursuing the statewide goal of 60 by 30. That's 60% of our adults with a post-secondary certificate or degree by 2030. We're making progress on that. I believe $215 million to expand our two big workforce programs would go a long way toward ensuring we've got skills that get us into good paying jobs. The Michigan Reconnect and the Futures for Frontliners, we had 160,000 people sign up for these. That means there are people who are eager to get the skills, but the barrier has been cost. When we make this investment, we improve that ability for so many people in our state. So this would include $70 million to build up the pipeline of talented workers to industry, $50 million toward apprenticeships, $100 million in Going Pro credential program, which awards funds to employers to help train and retrain and develop their own workforce. $27.5 million in programs that offer work experience to Michiganders who are getting their GEDs, and $30 million into initiatives that help those who are re-entering society after incarceration so that they can transition into the workforce. Number two, let's talk about small business and job creation. Now, I've already laid out a $300 million Michigan Main Street initiative. That is grants to restaurants and place-based businesses and micro-enterprises while attracting more startups. I think we need to build on that by investing $200 million to create business environment more enticing to high-tech, high-growth startups and creating jobs of the future in Michigan. We need to put $100 million to prepare our manufacturers and workers for opportunities in emerging industries. And we should speed up state-led electric vehicle charging infrastructure with a $40 million investment in electric vehicle adoption and making Michigan a place that not just put the world on wheels, but electrified it too. And finally, in this capacity, I think injecting $11 million to scale the STEM Forward program, which places STEM students in internships in Michigan and improves our talent attraction and retention. And finally, let's talk about place. We need to build a strong economic foundation by making historic investments in housing, in broadband, and critical development-focused infrastructure. A few weeks ago, I proposed a significant $100 million investment in affordable, attainable housing so we can create 2,000 more units, put 1,600 people to work in good-paying jobs building them or refurbishing them, and giving 6,000 more Michiganders a safe, reliable place to call home. If we build on that by putting an additional $50 million toward creating more energy efficient homes, we do even more. $100 million in addition to rehabilitate vacant buildings, which helps make cities and places more attractive for prospective employers and employees. and $200 million to redevelop brownfield sites to strengthen communities. We need to entice families and businesses to make Michigan their home and to make the investment right here. And this is an incredible way to do that. It would include $250 million in regional economic resiliency plans and $100 million toward crucial infrastructure to build development-ready sites. So as we talk to businesses that are looking to Michigan, we've got the land ready for them to go. That's something that is a much-needed foundation for all of us and in cities all across Michigan. So we are poised to emerge from this once-in-a-generation pandemic. We're prepared to usher in a new era of prosperity here in Michigan. But for us to meet this moment, we've got to work on all of these fronts, and we've got to work together. This can't be a recovery for some. It's got to create opportunity for all. I'm really excited about the possibility in front of us. I am determined to work to make sure that it is a reality for all of us. And I appreciate the support and input of so many of you and people across our state to make this a plan that actually can accomplish all of those things. Thank you so much. Okay. Sam says we got a little time for some questions. I know, I see you, Rick, back there going like this. Okay, let's start with questions on the economic plan. Are there any? It speaks for itself. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Matt, schools are going back to school much this week, some more after Labor Day. Some are still deciding whether they're going to enforce mandates. A lot of school districts feel like they're being put in front of the parents that are going to have issues with this. What do you say to them as you are strongly recommending masks but not mandating?
Well, I first want to acknowledge that there are a lot of districts that have embraced a masking policy, and I applaud them, and I'm grateful for their leadership. It is not easy, but we know that school boards working with parents, it's the best way to move forward and protect kids and their workforce. We've seen Grand Rapids, Holland, Spring Lake, Kentwood, Grand Haven, Godwin Heights, Godfrey Lee, and Kalamazoo embrace a masking policy. And I want to hold them up as districts that are really following the science and doing the right thing to keep their students in person and to protect their staff from the parapros to the bus drivers. This is good policy. I appreciate the health departments of Allegan and Kent, Kalamazoo, and Ottawa who have created masking policies for K-6. I think that that is great to see that kind of leadership. This is a moment where I am going to continue to strongly encourage districts and school boards and policymakers at the local level to follow this guidance. We've issued strong guidance around masking and vaccinations for all who are eligible and able. This is how we get through this pandemic. This is how we support our small businesses, and most crucially, in this space, this is how we keep our kids in school so that they can have face-to-face learning, which is so important. So, Rick, as you know, last year we've had a lot of debate over gubernatorial powers that I've never wanted to use but had to use to keep people safe. We didn't have vaccines. We didn't even know that masks were going to be the most important tool that we have to keep ourselves safe until we have vaccines. We now have those. Every one of us has a tool which we can avail ourselves of, except for kids who are under 12 and people who are compromised and unable to get vaccinated. And that's why right now it's so important that districts are adopting these policies. We have been consistent about the need for this, but in this moment, we have tools that we can use. We are strongly going to continue to encourage districts to do that, and at this time, there is not a conversation about a broad epidemic order, but we are hopeful that more districts learn from these incredible ones that are leading and are doing what's necessary to keep their students safe. I want to thank them, and I want to tell them that we stand arm in arm with them. We've been confronting this very same dynamic that you've just articulated for a year and a half now, and it is very difficult, but we are here to have their backs and to support their efforts, and I'm grateful for the work. I know that people in public health, people in our health systems, are exhausted and they are frustrated, and it is difficult, and yet they heroically show up and do the hard work every single day, and we're going to have their back and support them, and we're grateful for the work that they do. You know, at this juncture, it really is, I think, at the local level that we're seeing this leadership, rise to this moment. And we're grateful for the districts that have. I listed, 8, 9 right here locally that have. There are many across the state that are. I'm hopeful that these boards, working with their parents, listening to their health experts locally, make those decisions and keep their students safe. There's not like everything over the course of the last year and a half, we're watching the numbers, we're talking regularly with our leaders at the local level and in health systems and at our schools. All of that will continue, and hopefully we won't see a situation where a broad change is necessary, but we're going to stay close, and we're going to follow the science. All right, thank you, everybody.
You call that perfect. Surprise, surprise, right? Surprise, surprise. Glad you came. Glad you came. Get you a towel.
Yeah. No, I know. My team, like, too many words.
Mark is there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.